Look at them all. This might not seem like much to most people, but this is a big deal to me. I'm very proud of this. All these detritus worms. I did a lot of research online trying to learn about them, how to make them grow, how to make them reproduce. And most of the information was how to eliminate them, how to remove them, how to kill them in your fish tank. People freaking out, were these white worms in my tank? But when it comes to actually growing them on purpose, as far as I could tell, there was me trying to learn how to do it. And there was rumors of a man on Fish Lore, who was Fish Lore forums, who was successfully culturing them. But I never could get in touch with that individual for detailed information. Most of the guides, like I said, were about how to remove them and how to kill them. So achieving numbers like this is a dream come true. I've literally been dreaming about these worms, as weird as that sounds. But I am so happy. I am thrilled with this. This is huge success for the channel, for bucket ponds. One of the few people out here purposely culturing detritus worms. Clearly, I have no problem generating large numbers of them at this point, and I am thrilled. Now, these ones, they look really small still, and I'm curious to see how things develop. But one of the keys to raising them seems to be don't try a monospecies culture. It's a waste of time, especially with something like a sledge worm or detritus worm. Don't try to raise them by themselves. Apparently a clean tank is fine, but you have to just overload with food. You have to overfeed, and don't be shy about it either. Apparently it's working though. I've never seen numbers of detritus worms like this. This is so beautiful. Again, this might not seem like much to most people, but to me this is a huge thing. This is a big deal. This is great for the channel. As I continue to succeed with these guys, I'll be able to make more videos about how to do it yourself, how to culture them. Because I'm sure there's got to be at least one other person out there who wants to raise these guys as food for their fish. They're not parasitic, they're not harmful, they don't eat your plants, they're not going to hurt you. All they do is cruise around, and they basically feed on waste and poo, basically, and bacteria that grow on those things. Yeah, it's great. Some people have mentioned small populations in your fish tank are beneficial, and almost every fish tank is going to have some detritus worms unless you have a really clean setup, and that means you spend a lot of time and maintenance and money, and I'm not into all of that. I like to work with what nature gives me, and these guys are a great example. Again, they might seem a little creepy to most people, and I posted some videos of tubiflex worms in colonies before, and they kind of creep some people out. But these detritus worms are totally harmless. My fish love to eat them, and I'm very, very proud to have grown so many in such a short time. This shows that in less than a month I can generate these numbers based off some water samples and careful collections from my other aquariums. It's just huge. I'm thrilled. Anyway, guys, my name's Bucket Ponds. Obviously, I raise detritus worms. I raise ostracods, bladder snails. I breed guppies. Not like a breeder, but more as a hobbyist, just for fun, just let them do their own thing and see what happens. But in this tank, you can see some ostracods, and you can see some bladder snails. But these detritus worms are definitely a big part of the show. And as I go, I'll be able to post more videos how to identify detritus worms. Obviously, this is what they look like, at least when they're young. This is a massive colony of detritus worms. You're probably not going to see too much like this online. So hopefully in the future, when it comes to detritus worms on YouTube, people will come to me. And I'm slowly becoming an expert on these guys. It might not seem that complicated, overfeed your tank, set it up right. But as you can tell, they're doing great. Excuse me. I haven't checked pH in this water. I know it's hard water though because of how I set things up. And yeah, I just use common sense. You know, obviously it's hard water due to the stonewort's excellent growth. The snail shells are a good example of your water quality as well. If your snails have very weak, thin shells, if they have holes in them, they're damaged, you most likely have acidic water, or they're not getting enough calcium. But some of the stones in here I've added specifically to increase the amount of calcium in the water. And it's working. The detritus worms love the same conditions that the bladder snails like. There's a big one there on the side. You see him squirming around. So yeah, guys, detritus worms in a nano tank. I'm Bucket Ponds. This is what I do. Come to me with questions. Come to me with comments. And show me what you've done yourself, because I would love to talk to somebody who's also growing these detritus worms. Don't be snarky, and don't pretend that you're some scientist or something, because you're no better than me, and I'm no better than you. Anything I can do, you can do too. So thanks for watching. These are detritus worms in a nano tank. And just for a comparison, there's my finger, and compared to the size of the worms. And just one last time, I am so proud